Hey, it's my pleasure to chat with Kelsey Verzotti, who is currently portraying Anne Shirley in Anne of Green Gables, the musical at the Charlottetown Festival. Welcome, Kelsey. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you asked.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, Kelsey, you're originally from Calgary, based in Toronto, and currently working in Charlottetown. And it's wonderful that audiences across Canada get a chance to see your work. What would you like people to know about you and why you chose a career in theater?
It's a wonderful question. It's actually funny you asked that. My mom just came to Charlottetown. They were here. My parents were here for 2 weeks to visit and see the show. And last night, my mom was like, "So, are you happy with the life you chose?" And it sounds so cheesy, but I think a lot of my colleagues would agree. It's kind of something that I feel like chose me. It was a passion that like turned into a career, which is something I'm very lucky to be able to say. But yeah, I grew up in Calgary and my parents would take me to see shows and like Broadway Across Canada tours when they would come to the Jubilee Auditorium in Calgary. And I fell in love with musicals at a really young age. And then I remember in grade 12 when everyone's sort of deciding what they want to do, I auditioned for Sheridan College, which is a music theater program in Ontario. And it was the only theater school I had auditioned for. Otherwise, I was going to go into psychology and do that in Calgary. But I got in and it just was one of those things that just, it happened and all the pieces sort of fell into place. And it's been amazing. I have found, you know, a community in the arts community in Toronto and have made so many incredible connections in all of the pieces I've gotten to work on. So yeah, I don't really regret any of it.
Well, you're amazing at it.
Thanks.
It's almost, it feels like watching your work. It's a vocation. It was a calling.
That's very kind. Yeah, it's I've been very lucky to be able to follow that with the support of, my parents and all of that.
Playing Anne in Anne of Green Gables, the musical. It's such a summer staple at the Charlottetown Festival that it's become an iconic and a historic production. And people all over the world come to see it. So what's it like for you?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, you get to Charlottetown and everything is decked out in Anne. There's stores dedicated to it and it's very clear that it is a story that means so much to people on PEI and, across the world. It's in the curriculum in schools in Japan. So I think just that in general, I think the character of Anne is so special to so many people and is, a female character that defies a lot of odds and it's just magical. The way she sees the world is so inspiring and it's been amazing to get this part and like meet people who come see the show every year for the last 30 years or something and that tradition that lives on and watching them share it with their children now it's such a beautiful thing that theater can have that impression on so many people that they would travel. Like I think I met a family who drove from California to Prince Edward Island, which I think is that's got to be days long
It's
of a
about
drive.
as far as you can go, right?
Yeah, it's literally the opposite side of the continent. So it's beautiful to see that the effect that Anne has on people and this production specifically, people have been seeing it for years. So I've loved being a small part in that.
Well known that you being cast in Anne of Green Gables, the musical, was such a landmark moment, right? You've been very candid about it being a milestone moment for you, having had a teacher tell you that you would never don the iconic red braids to play the role because of your heritage. So she was wrong, and here you are. And audiences of the musical are more diverse than ever. How have they responded to you as Anne?
Yeah, it's been really beautiful to look out into the audience at the end of the show when we wave goodbye and to see families and see Asian children, Black children, all types of families coming to see the show and getting to wave goodbye at them. And I've had some mothers message me on Facebook or Instagram and let me know that their daughter loves performing or that their daughter would love to say hi. So I'll sometimes go say hi after the show, and just getting to see a younger generation see themselves represented on stage, not just in me, but in our diverse cast in general, it means so much to me, because I have said this in other interviews, but I grew up going to see shows and didn't always see myself on stage and couldn't really imagine myself being a lead in a musical. I remember our first day at Sheridan, we were asked our dream roles. Often people are asked their dream roles, and I just didn't really have an answer because I had never really saw myself represented in theater when I was growing up. So things are changing, and that's amazing. And there are so many new musicals and a push to represent on stage. And so I think this part has been iconic for me because of what happened. And it's just a very full circle moment.
The current cast of Anne of Green Gables, the musical, is representatively diverse. So not just your casting, but the casting of other characters as well. Do you want to speak a little about that?
Yeah, I think it's the most diverse cast of actors that they've had in this production. And it's so beautiful that, you know, every single person in the cast brings their own adversity and their own, for lack of a better word, trauma in this industry, because that's, you know, kind of a given, and also positive experiences. And we all bring that together and get to do the show together. And, you know, it's a show that's been written a very long time ago. And a lot of the script has been updated to sort of reflect like a better representation, but it's beautiful. You look on stage and you see every kind of person who probably was told that they wouldn't get to be in the show. So that's been amazing. And it's been amazing to have that support, as Anne, to have the support of my ensemble, and Gilbert, who is also half Asian, just like me. And I think it would have been a very different experience going into this being the only person of color. So it's very, very amazing to have such strong voices and talented people in the cast who also get to inspire other young children who see the show.
Oh, that's lovely. Now, this production is not your first experience with the musical. You played Diana Barry in the Thousand Islands Playhouse production in 2019, right?
Yes.
And that same year, your real life friend, Emma Rudy, was playing Anne in the Charlottetown Festival production. So she was in the title role.
Yes.
And by some serendipity, she is playing Diana to your Anne in this production. So what's that like, to have a kindred spirit play your kindred spirit? And have you ever mixed up your parts in a duet because you both know both parts so well?
Yes, we actually have. I remember when we were first learning the song Kindred Spirits, I would keep singing her part and she would keep singing mine, because it was just a little brain jumble to have to sing the other part. And I think in one show I didn't sing a line because I assumed it was hers, but it was actually mine. But that was early on in previews. But it's been amazing. Like I remember that summer playing Diana and watching sort of her experience playing Anne, and thought it was so cool that we were both playing the parts at the same, or in the show at the same time in different parts. And then, to be completely candid, getting this part and hearing she was Diana, was a little strange for me because, you know, I've known Emma for so long. We went to school together, and it's not sort of every day that you play a part that someone just played and sort of watches you discover that part as well. So I was kind of nervous for that, and, you know, completely out of my own insecurities. But my relationship with Emma has just been rejuvenated over the summer. It's been so incredible. She was, you know, she at times was the only person in the room that could answer some of the questions I had, because she had been through it. And so she knew how to change the wig under the blanket kind of thing, and just secrets. And, you know, she didn't owe me anything, and she didn't have to be as generous as she was, but she, you know, held my hand through a lot of it and was just such a support and such a rock to me in this process that I could cry, I could get emotional, but it means so much. And I think that it had been so long since we'd seen each other since school, but I think that this summer has been so special for both of us, and has sort of solidified a friendship that I think is going to last forever.
It really sounds like, a mirror of your real life experience being parlayed on the stage, which is, you don't get that often, do you?
Truly, yeah, it's definitely a once in a lifetime sort of like the way everything has happened has felt very kismet.
Oh, that's lovely. So, as you've mentioned, Anne is probably Canada's most iconic and beloved heroine. Um, what's the attraction for you personally to the role, other than defying expectations? Does Anne hold a special meaning for you?
Definitely. I think something that I've fallen in love with is just her imagination and her ability to see beauty. And because she's had such an awful upbringing and has been, just discarded basically by so many families through the orphanage and everything, and still her ability to like look at a tree and love it so much is, I think, so beautiful. And her coping mechanism for all of that is something that I think a lot of people can relate to. When your reality is awful, you turn inside, inward into your imagination, and her imagination is so beautiful, and it inspires so many people around her, like Matthew and Diana and Marilla by the end. But yeah, that's something that I think I've been more drawn to in this version of the production, getting to know her character more.
All right, I have a lightning round for you.
Okay.
So, quick questions. Okay, let's do this. When I say kindred spirit, who immediately pops to your mind?
Probably my friend Joel Cumber, who just came to visit and see the show. I love him. He was also in Pinocchio, and
Yes.
yeah.
I remember, like
Yeah.
that was a scene-stealing role for Joel.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing.
And Shirley's temper often gets her in trouble. Has a fit of temper ever landed you in hot water?
All the time. Yes, just ask my mom. I didn't realize I had such a temper until I got Anne, and I was like, oh, I actually am like this.
I is devoted to Anne of Green Gables, and the marketing around it is everywhere. I clearly remember Murillo's potato chips and stopping in front of the sign. What's the most surprising product you've seen that was based on the book?
Oh, that's a good question. Off the top of my head, can't think of anything surprising, but I always love seeing the bottles of raspberry cordial that Diana drinks in the show. And I also just love, like, at the show, we sell like the little red braids and the hat that you can wear. And so some little kids will come see it. And I love it. I think it's the cutest thing ever.
I have a colleague who wears it for Halloween every year.
Perfect. That's a great Halloween costume. So easy.
Just draws on some freckles and she's good to go. What do you like best about living on the island?
Oh my goodness. What is there to not like? I've been loving the seafood and the general kindness. Everyone is just so kind here. Like, just beautiful people on the island.
You could tell that PEI warmth right away.
Absolutely.
What's been the biggest surprise to have come out of working in this production?
I think this might sound silly, but I think I surprised myself. Like, there's getting the role, and then there's like, oh, I actually have to do it and be good at it. So I remember the first week I was bombarded with choreography. I'm not really like a dancer first. Picking up choreography takes a little bit more time for me, and I'm in the presence of incredible dancers. Like, they're amazing. So I told myself, I was like, it would be crazy if I ever found this easy. Like, I can't wait. And so I think I surprised myself in those ways. There's a lot of challenges and moments that I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So without making it all about me, I am very proud of the work that I put in this season.
And you have much to be proud of. Who is Kelsey more like, Anne or Diana?
Good question.
And why?
That's a really good question. I see myself in both. But I think right now I'll say Anne. Um, and I think the whole story of just getting here really, reminds me of Anne and her drive and competitiveness and her quick temper and her she is strong, but she also feels things deeply and she gets her feelings hurt. And I think her vulnerability, because she's such an open being, is a beautiful thing, but I can relate to that. I get my feelings hurt all the time. So I would say Anne.
Okay, lovely. So I want to ask, because you've always got something in the pipe. What's next for you, Kelsey?
Well, I'm taking a mini vacation after this. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Amazing.
I'm gonna go on a vacation, go to the beach. But then after I'm gonna go back to the Shaw Festival and be in A Christmas Carol there. And then I'm gonna go back to Calgary in the new year and do a play called Gaslight happening at
I
Vertigo
love
Theater.
that play.
Yeah, they just did it at Shaw. So it's the same adaptation and they're doing it in Calgary, which is great. I'll get to spend time with my parents and be out west. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in A Christmas Carol again.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So I have a little quick mini question. Since you are traveling, and I read that you have a dog.
Yes.
I also have dogs.
Yeah.
Your dog travels with you, I imagine.
He does. Yeah, he's been to quite a few places. He's been to Calgary lots and he went to Shaw and he'll come back with me and he's sitting over there giving himself a little bath on my chair. It's hard. It definitely makes things a lot harder just to consider and finding housing for dogs, but I wouldn't really imagine not having him fall asleep at my feet every night. So it's something that I just work into my life and he saves me. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So is there anything that you'd like to add, Kelsey, that I didn't ask you?
No, I always love your questions. I find them to be so thoughtful and yeah, that covers a lot of things. I can't thank you enough for giving me this platform and this time.
It's my pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Until next time.
Yeah, thank you.